Ooh, dark type Pokemon. How scary, how evil, how sinister. But which one's the best? Well, let's talk about the ones that are the best right now. And of course, why? So first, we have Zoroark. And, he's like a dark nighttime fox spirit guy. He's got a great design. And because of his ability, you can trick your opponent into thinking he's something else and then getting in a free hit or two. But obviously you do have to know your types, because if you have Zoroark impersonate something that has the same weaknesses as him, it's kind of pointless. You need to do something like have him impersonate a fighting type, and then they go for a psychic move, and then you're like, I'm immune, bitch! So it definitely requires a little bit of thinking, but still like him a lot. Alright, next we have Yveltal. Now, Bird of Death, real asshole, great design, looks cool despite the fact that he's clearly based off of the letter Y, and a tank that can do massive damage and heal himself with the same move seems a little broken. Except for the fact that, he's from the same generation where Fairy was introduced, and he's a dark type, and his counterpart is also a fairy, so not actually. But he's still very cool. And I guess, the fact that he has a counter doesn't mean that he's not a badass. And, Big Burb. Then Weevil. So, with Weevil, love the design, love how fast it is, how much damage it does, great coverage, great moves of both physical ice and physical dark. Also, it does suck that it's frail, but it's also true that it's so frail that anything that's super effective will kill it, and sometimes even normal effective moves will kill it. And because of that, the fact that it's got some ×4 weaknesses doesn't even really matter. It's ×4 weak to fighting, and normally that's kind of a deal breaker, because that's, one of the most common types in the game. But it also doesn't matter, because even if you hit it with a standard ×2 super effective fire move, it's dead. If it was ×2 weak to fighting instead of ×4 weak to fighting, it would still get one hit KO'd by fighting. So it doesn't really matter that it's got those weaknesses, because it's a sweeper. Obviously, the weaknesses do matter, but they're not huge, massive game changers that make him suck or anything. So let's move on. Yes, Obstagoon. So I like Obstagoon, partially because it's design and it's clearly based off of the band Kiss, and I think that's funny. But also I really like it when a bad Pokemon gets a new evolution or a new form that makes it either good or significantly better. And in the past, Zigzagoon and Linoon, they were good for being HM slaves, and they were good for getting items with pickup, but that's about it. So even though Obstagoon is definitely not, the best, I like the fact that it took a Pokemon that was basically useless and gave it significantly more viability and worth than it had before. And really the worst thing about Obstagoon is the fact that it has a ×4 weakness to fighting, and fighting and fire are the two types that are just they're so commonly used that you just don't want to be weak to them. And whenever a Pokemon is weak to one of those two types, especially with a ×4 weakness, it just, you're always man, sure wish I didn't have that weakness, but as a normal dark type, I do. Alright, moving on to Darkrai. So Darkrai, I love his design. I do think it's a little weird that he's not Dark and Ghost based on what he looks like. And I love how he's like, I'm gonna give you bad dreams and feast on them. Boo-ha-ha, malicious night spirit. And he's also got one of the best designs in Pokemon. However, he's actually in the category of he used to be one of my favorites, but recently he fell. And the reason why is because of the fact that they nerfed his signature move, Dark Void, which, is just puts him to sleep. And now, real quick, back in the day, Dark Void's accuracy was insanely high, and I think it was 80. And I do agree that having a move that 80% of the time puts your opponent to sleep, that's too good. And that he did need to be nerfed. But the problem is that they cut Dark Void's accuracy to 50%. And I think that's too low. But you know why it really bothers me? I'll tell you why. Hypnosis has 60 accuracy, and Darkrai can learn Hypnosis. And I think it's incredibly obnoxious that Hypnosis Darkrai is better than Dark Void Darkrai. I think it's really obnoxious that its signature move is worse than the standard Go to Sleep. And because of that, I don't if Dark Void had 70 accuracy, that's the same as Thunder when there's no rain. Even that I think might be a little too high, but 65, just so that it still is yes, I'm a mythical Pokemon for a reason. That, I think that would probably be okay. So that's why, as much as I love Darkrai, I'm also disappointed about what he's become in the most recent gens, and I think that he needs a little bit more of a buff at this point. Alright, moving on to Tyranitar. So, Tyranitar, he's kind of, a god, because he's got everything except for speed, because he hits really hard, and he's really physically durable, and he can do chip damage with sand, but he's slow, and yet technically his special defense sucks, but Sandstorm makes it so that Rock-type Pokemon get a 50% boost to their special defense. And for that reason, as long as that's during those first 5 turns where the sand is strong, well, he's going to be able to take, special attacking, water and ice and fighting moves with... And be okay, and he's cool, and a Gen 2 classic, and definitely a very, very high top contender for who you would want to have be your opener if you were going to actually, build a Sandstorm team. I mean, sure, he's not the only option, but personally, if I was going to build a Sandstorm team, I would definitely open the party with Tyranitar. Also, he has also got a great design because he's he's Godzilla. He Godzilla. And I like Godzilla. That cool. Alright, next up we got Spiritomb. So we've got another Darkrai situation here. However, the Spiritomb's much more merited, because long story short, in Generations 4 and 5, Spiritomb was absolutely broken and was out of control because, as a Ghost Dark type, it had no weaknesses. However, in Gen 6, Fairy type was introduced. That became its only weakness, and since then it just hasn't been quite as cool or quite as good. Now, obviously, a Pokemon that's I'm a physical tank and I only have one weakness and it's a standard ×2 weakness, that's still good. He's not bad by any means, and he definitely still is good, but he is a Pokemon that is currently not as good as he was. His prime has passed. However, I love his design, and I love the lore that, the spirits of 108 dead people merged together to form him, and that's why he's so rare, because you technically would have to have 108 souls go into a single odd keystone to create one, and that also makes the fact that you can just get mass outbreaks of them in Legends Arceus a little fucked up. And also, unfortunately, I've never actually gotten one of it myself, but Spiritomb also, in my opinion, has one of the best shiny sprites in the entire series. Like, absolutely adore that shiny sprite. Next up, Umbreon. I mean, Umbreon is probably my second favorite evolution. I will not spoil who my favorite is until we get to the video of that type. And the sleek design, the yellow circles, also in addition to that, like the rings on it do make me think of like Sonic the Hedgehog rings, which is cool. And then also, it's durable in every way because health defense and special defense are all great. And in addition to that, its actual coverage when it comes to types leaves a little bit to be desired. But it's also true that it can attack offensively with physical or special pretty well, but also just throughout a combination of like Toxic, Curse, Confuse Ray, and Moonlight. Well, it's really, really easy to be like, you're taking damage from the poison every turn. Also, every turn there's a chance that instead of you attacking me, you hurt yourself. And then, get half of my health back. And obviously, like in Wi-Fi battles, there is no day or night, so it's 50% at base, but theoretically, it could be 25 or 75% healing from Moonlight based off of if you were battling with Umbreon in a non-Wi-Fi environment. And then, it's also Umbreon's also one of those Pokemon that has a good balance of like it's cute and it's intimidating all at once, and I like that. Like that a lot. Then we have Krookodile. And I mean, he's just, an alligator with sunglasses, so he's dark and yeah, and like Krookodile, like it's very simple. Like you teach him Crunch, which is, 80 power and stab. You teach him Earthquake, which is 80 power and stab. And before Fairy type existed, you would also, give him Outrage, which is 120 power, and then get one with Moxie so he gets his attack buff every time he KOs something. And then either you EV train for speed and hope for the best, or you choice scarf it and woo! Sweep their party. Now, yeah, Earthquake is a stronger move, but it's also true that Flying and Levitate both are immune to ground, and they're what's immune to dark? That's right, fucking nothing. And therefore, even though Crunch is weaker, if you're gonna go for the choice scarf strat, it's probably better to go with Crunch just because you can't swap out. Well, you could, but you'd lose all your Moxies. And also he's got a really soaked design. He's like I'm an asshole, but I'm also like your bro. So I like him. He cool. And then we have Houndoom, and it really just is as simple as, he's a hellhound, and because like dog is man's best friend, Houndoom is Satan's best friend, and therefore he cool. He's even got like a little skull on his collar, and even though there's no fire anywhere on him, you can tell that he's a hellhound, and you can tell that he indeed possesses the ability to spew the flames. So, Houndoom, dope. Always loved him, always will. And I believe we only have one Pokemon left on the list now, and that is our boy Sharpedo. So, I mean, Water Dark and Crunch, Waterfall, Ice Fang, Poison Fang, and for some reason he can learn fucking Earthquake, which no one ever sees coming. Like a 100 power ground move on a shark that looks like a torpedo? No one. Why can he learn Earthquake? I don't know why, but the fact that he can is awesome. Also, Rough Skin is an ability that I do like. However, Sharpedo has no health or durability, and therefore, if you get hit, you're dead. And I feel like that, yeah, it's cool to be like, damn, I died, but at least I took away an eighth of your health. But I think it's better to, just be like, I am a god of death, and to be a speed boost Sharpedo, especially considering that, if your Sharpedo is speed boosted, you are probably, well, you could be like, Focus Sash, Swords Dance, and then have 3 moves, but you also could just, but you also could just be like, no, let's like run Life Orb for that 30% extra damage, hope I'm faster turn 1, and have 4 moves. So because of that, I'm feeling like when it comes to your moves, like you want, so I'm thinking you want Waterfall, you want Crunch, and you want Earthquake. However, like as cool as it is to have ice coverage, Ice Fang is technically only a 65 power move. Like it's a weak move. And Poison Fang, like yeah, it's got a 50% chance to poison, which is great, but it's also only a 50 power move. So like because of that, like when it comes to like the way I've run it both ways, but my preference for Sharpedo is Waterfall, Crunch, Earthquake, Focus Sash, Sword Dance. So it's like turn 1, I survive whatever you throw at me with 1 HP. I use Swords Dance to raise attack +2, and then I start sweeping. And honestly, if you were gonna have a if you were gonna have a 4th move instead of Swords Dance, I also, having Aqua Jet has also worked well, because then that way, just that, like, if you're ever in a situation where you know for a fact that they're faster than you, or if you're already at 1 HP because of the Focus Sash and proccing and you suspect them to have a priority move or to be faster, because Sharpedo is a Pokemon where 1 speed boost, he outspeeds most things. 2 speed boosts, he outspeeds everything. So, like, he can get outsped after just 1. So Aqua Jet also can be really good on him. Anyway, I went on a little bit of a tangent there with my boy Sharpedo, because, he's the best, so I got a little distracted about his bestness. So I'm going to call that a video and end it here, and hope you enjoyed, and until next time, peace.